Walkerton E.coli outbreak. In May in the 2000s, the drinking water in Walkerton, Ontario was found to be contaminated with the bacteria E.coli. 7 people died and 2,300 were struck with illness as a result, which prompted the government to figure out how this happened. The E. coli originated from manure that was used on a nearby farm but was carried through runoff in the rain into a drinking well that was not properly chlorinated due to improper monitoring. Another well within the town was not contaminated but was not using a chlorinator. The PUC was improperly monitoring the chlorine level for over 20 years by submitting false entries into their documentation. On May 15, falsely labeled samples were provided for the well, and when the outbreak broke loose, the PUC manager at the time, who was aware that the well was operating without a chlorinator, attempted to hide this from the public, assuring everyone that the water was safe. On May 17, the PUC was notified several times of the amount of chloroform in the water and water samples, to which again the PUC failed to notify public health about. Only after an employee from PUC, who was aware of these water samples, made an anonymous call, was the Ministry of the Environment notified, and by May 21st, with over 2,300 people ill, water samples were tested and came back positive for E. coli.
There were many factors that led to the Walkerton E. coli outbreak. The most fault, however, can be placed on the Public Utilities Commissioners that were responsible for the monitoring of the very water that became contaminated. Stan Coble, the PUC manager, and PUC employees' negligence very well led to this catastrophe. Being responsible for the water management of Walkerton, they had a heavy responsibility to manage the contents of the water. This entails regularly monitoring chlorine levels, taking samples of water for testing, and letting health officials as well as the public know if there's any alarming issues.
The PUC had to choose between the reputation of the company and the well-being of the people. Throughout the outbreak, the PUC continuously chose the company's reputation over the people, which did nothing to prevent or slow down the contamination. They failed to address the situation early on. Fewer samples were taken during the testing and were also improperly taken. The manager, Stan Coble, and his partner falsified documents of chlorination levels and repeatedly lied to the health officials about the quality of their water at Walkerton. The main ethical challenge that faced by the PUC was accountability. The PUC was responsible for the outbreak due to their fraudulent ways of handling their responsibilities. The dilemma was that if they did inform the people, their company would eventually face backlash due to their contamination in the first place. Overall, the company had to choose between letting the public know that the water was contaminated early on, which would have saved many people's lives, but would bring bad press to their company, or staying quiet and hoping that the contamination gets solved alternatively.
Alternative options include seek advice from experts in water quality and sanitation, inform health officials and the public of the situation initially when the contamination was discovered, as well as shut down the well when they first discovered the contamination sources. Option 1 is deontological. The citizens living in the town had the right to clean water. They had the right to know whether or not their water was contaminated. Additionally, the company had the ethical responsibility to ensure the safety of the drinking water, which could have been aided if they had spoken with experts and other imperative stakeholders.
Analyzing Option 2. Option 2 is virtuous, as it entails coming clean about their negligence. Doing so could have prevented the whole incident from occurring, or at least alleviate some of the consequences.
The third option was to shut down the wells and come clean about their fraudulent practices and following virtue ethics. This brings the company under fire but protects the people from an outbreak from happening, since the public health knows that there are issues that need to be fixed. The company will be under heavy fire, but it will have the opportunity to fix their bad practices. This will result in an overall company improving without having to wait for a catastrophe to happen to force them to do so.
Which option should the PUC choose? We believe that the PUC should seek advice from experts in water quality and safety. This would ensure that the PUC is fully aware of what needs to be done and what consequences there can possibly be should they fail to do their job properly. This will allow the PUC to fix their mistakes before an issue happens and before they're caught under heavy fire for their bad practices. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
These are our references / sources. It's where we got all our information.